The presence of the past in the present. Grotesque mascarons of stone from Sweden's time as a great power. Well-built warriors adorned the new palaces. It was then that Swedish armies spread fear in several parts of Northern Europe. Jacob de la Gardie began a series of victories by taking Moscow in 1610, though only temporarily. The wars brought de la Gardie wealth, and he was able to erect a magnificent palace. On the roof there was a gazebo. On the left is the master mason for the palace, Hans Jacob Christler from Strasbourg. Ruler in hand, he is giving orders to his carpenters, stone carvers, stone setters, smiths and joiners. Parts of the huge Stockholm ridge are being hauled away. The simple wooden abodes were demolished. Palaces went up instead. A building site in those days didn't differ much from one in the 1950s. Foundation piles were hammered down by pile drivers. Bricks were stacked, soon to be used to build story after story of walls, walls spanned by crossbeams. As early as 1580, during the reign of Johan III, the building of St. Jacob's Church had begun. Much later, in 1643, the master mason Hans Förster completed the project. The von der Lindeska building was built at about the same time for Erik Larsson, who had acquired wealth by importing salt and wine. He was raised to the nobility for having provided funding for Sweden's war in Germany. The building is now the headquarters of the Guild of Master Masons in Stockholm. It stems from the Middle Ages and supports stonemasonry traditions. The master mason was usually architect and contractor in one. Apprenticeship and training took a long time. Final examinations consisted of producing drawings for a building and doing practical tests. The first examination drawings in the Guild archive are from the 1640s. Examples of drawings used were to be found in Germany, the Netherlands, and in the possession of leading architects in Sweden. Here we can see inspiration from de la Vallée's House of the Nobility in Stockholm. It was the master masons who were behind most of the new stone buildings in the capital. In 50 years, the population had increased fivefold, and what was once a backwater town had become a city and a powerful hub on the Baltic coast. From de la Vallée's new St. Katarina Church, you could look out over the capital and the junction of the Baltic Sea and Lake Mälaren. In Järntorget, in the old town, the Bank of Sweden was built. Nicodemus Tessin Sr. was the architect. In the crowd, war invalids can be discerned. Tessin was the architect of Södra Stadshuset for the city's municipal headquarters. Today the building houses the City Museum. The forecourt is rich in the elegance of the time, full of building workers and men carrying bar iron. As a great power, Sweden demanded efficient administration. Axel Oxenstierna dominated as its leader for over 40 years. He had his palace built, with St. Nicholas Church and the Royal Palace as its closest neighbors. Kristina was only 6 when her father, King Gustavus Adolphus, fell at the Battle of Lützen. Here she is 8 and dressed like a tiny queen. Through the window, the naval shipyard can be discerned. Claes Fleming was one of the powerful men surrounding young Kristina. As admiral, he had engineered a thorough renaissance of the Swedish Navy, and in 1634 he had been made governor of Stockholm. He was given the task of bringing major order to the city's street system. The earliest known map of Stockholm from 1620 shows a built-up area in the old town. 20 years later, Fleming provided the whole of the Norrmalm district with a grid plan. A panorama made 50 years later gives us a view of the capital's new splendid architecture, straight streets and bustling harbour. The vessels lie side by side along Skeppsbron, where the leading merchants have had their impressive buildings put up. The old royal castle still dominates the clutter of buildings and churches. It looks like a fairy tale palace. Architect Nicodemus Tessin the Younger is dreaming of rebuilding it according to the stricter ideals of his times. With his education from Rome and Paris, he knows how power can be manifested in architecture. Stockholm rests in a warm evening light. The final year of Karl XI's life is in a comparatively calm and peaceful Sweden. At the time of the king's death in April 1697, Tessin has already managed to carry through some of his plans. The palace's north wing has been rebuilt in Roman Baroque style. On the 7th of May, fire ravages the Tre Kronor castle. Large sections of the National Archives and the Royal Library are lost. Amazingly enough, though, the new North Row survives. After only a few weeks, Tessin is able to present a completely new plan for the building. A great square inner courtyard, flanked by a palace with protruding wings. But Sweden's day as a great power are numbered. The debacle against Russia at Poltava in 1709 marks their end. In the following years, the plague reaped lives as mercilessly as the Black Death once had. In Stockholm, a third of the population succumbs. Construction of the palace comes to a halt. Stacked building material by the northern row can be seen here. There are even more stone blocks and material below. Sweden is now poor and threatened on all sides. Will the palace ever be completed?